Hi, let's take a look at solving equations using addition or subtraction. One of the things that you want to do is focus on the variable. The variable's on the left side of the equal. So I'm going to cut the equal sign and we'll have the left side and the right side. Look for the variable, it's on the left. We want to get it by itself. So over here with x is a minus 3. To get it by itself, we have to do the opposite of whatever math operation is with it. And we've got a minus 3, so that puts us here. These two are opposite, so we need to use plus 3. So we're going to plus 3, which is the inverse operation. We're going to also add 3 to the right side because we want to keep the equation balanced. Whatever you do to the left side of the equal, you have to do to the right side. Now, we are going to subtract these two, we get 0, and so we can just bring down our x. These two are opposite, so they cancel each other out. We bring down our x, which is what we wanted to do, get it by itself. And now I have a positive 11 and a positive 3, and I can add those together, and that gives me 14. Now, if you wanted to check the equation, you could go back to your original equation. And we said that x now equals 14, so we can substitute that in for x. And that is true. 14 minus 3 is 11, and 11 equals 11. Alright, in this problem, we're going to cut it into two pieces, the left and the right. Look for the variable, it's on the left, there's an n. What is over here with the n? Well, there's a minus 6, or you could think of a negative 6. Well, what's the opposite? The opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. So the inverse operation will be to add 6. So if I'm going to add 6 to this side, I have to add 6 to this side of the equation. I'm going to draw a line so it kind of looks like a T. These cancel out and I can drop my n down and it's positive. The plus sign, positive n. Now, I have a negative 2 and a positive 6. Those are different signs, so I have to subtract them. So if I subtract 2 and 6, I get 4, and then I'm going to keep the sign of the number that's bigger. And the 6 is bigger than the 2, so the sign in front of it is positive. I don't have to write the positive sign in front of the 4. And then you can check that again. We can write the equation, the original. And then now we're going to plug in 4 for n. So if I erase n and put the 4 in that we got in our answer, negative 6 plus 4 equals negative 2. And yes, those check and equal each other on both sides. Okay, let's try another one. In this problem, again, we're going to cut it in two at the equal sign. So we have the left and the right. The variable's on the right. We want to get it by itself. So there's a plus 7 attached to it. So the inverse operation would be minus 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Draw my line, make my T here. Okay, these cancel out. I drop my variable down, which is an A. Now I have a negative 10 and a negative 7. They're both the same sign. So when they're the same sign, you add them and keep the same sign. And you can check this one if you wanted to. I'm not going to check it this time. Let's try another one. Alright, in this problem, again, we're going to divide it at the equal. Alright, we have an x on the right, and attached to it is a negative 4. The opposite of negative 4, the inverse operation, is positive 4. So I'm going to do that on both sides, and I'm going to draw my line. Now this time, if you notice, there's a negative sign in front of the x. I actually have to bring that down. There's my equal. And I've got a negative 3 and a positive 4. They're different, so I subtract. And I keep the sign of the bigger number. So I have 3 and 4. 4 is the bigger number, and the sign in front of it is positive. Well, in your final answer, you can't have a negative in front of the variable. So what we're going to do is, it kind of looks like this. There's actually a 1 here. So we're going to divide through both sides by negative 1. And this cancels out and becomes 1, and two negatives are even, so that makes it positive, which is what I wanted. So now x is positive, and then I have 1 divided by 1, which is 1, and on this side I have 1 negative sign. 1 is an odd number, so that means that my answer is going to be negative. And this is the rule that I use when I multiply and divide. It's called the even and odd rule. When you count the negative signs, if you count 1, 1 is an odd number, so that makes your answer negative. Over here, there were 2 negatives, and that was even, so that made this side positive. Or you could have counted all 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3. You could look at it that way, and that would be odd. And then that would make your answer negative. Okay, let's try another one. So different numbers, but the same type of problem. Okay, so I'm going to take my 21 to the other side. It's positive right now, so I'm going to use the inverse operation, which is negative 21. I'm going to drop my m down, but I have to keep that negative sign with it. Now these two are both the same sign, so I add and keep the same sign. Now in your final answer, you can't have a negative, so I'm going to divide through by negative 1 on both sides, and I get m equals positive 29. Let's try one more problem. All right, this problem is just a little bit more complicated. What we're going to do first is I see that we have a 7c and a 2c on the right side of the equal sign. So I'm going to cut this in two. Now the 7c is positive and the 2c is negative. These are like terms, so I can actually combine them. So this is the first thing that I want to do, is combine my 7 and my negative 2c. So 7 and negative 2 are 5. I just keep my variable. So I combine those two, and now I'm going to write minus 3, line up my equal sign, put my 12 here. And now I'm going to move the 3 to the other side. Those cancel out. I'm going to drop down my 5c, and 12 plus 3 is 15. And then now I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and I get 3 equals c. Thanks so much for watching my video. Check out my other ones online.